Hello, everyone. How are you? I am so excited about today's video. This technically is a masterclass. This is not going to be the normal, traditional video where, I give you these short quick vendor lists and my quick opinion on who to use, and you just go on your way and it's a nice little 10-minute video and you still have so many questions. And so this week the video that we are doing is how to print on a budget with planners and journals. And we know that Print School is a community that focuses on helping female entrepreneurs launch planners, journals, workbooks, and of course also two digital products, which we will be discussing later this quarter. So this video is a masterclass. So if you're watching and you're probably going to only be on for about 10 minutes, I definitely invite you to come back when you have the time so that you can really sit down, get a notepad, get a journal, whatever you use to write with, and you really sit down and consume this information. This will be a video that you will come back to several times probably. And also I've written an article version already of this video. So if you would like to print out the article and put it in your Print School notebook of notes, then I definitely recommend that you click the link in the description box to get the written article, because that's what I did first. Before I did the video, I wrote out everything for you so that you have all of this information. Before I get started in this masterclass, I do want to cover a few things, and I also want to shout out everyone who's watching live. If you're watching and you're a part of the replay community, be sure to do a few things for me. Number one, everyone like the video. That's the first thing I want everyone to do, like this video. This allows people who are searching for the same information that you have found to find it in the algorithm, okay? The second thing I would love for you to do is to comment. So even if you're a part of the live community, be sure to come back once the video is over and comment, okay? And of course, if you've never been a part of Print School, be sure to hit the subscribe button here on our YouTube channel and join the Print School community. We would love to have you. We are only at this live moment, only less than 100 subscribers from 13,000 subscribers, and I'm so excited. We will definitely be doing a giveaway. So again, so excited. So let's jump into our announcements. I do want to shout out, I see Angela, which I just shouted out. I see, oh, look, there we go. Hey, Camilla. Hey, Zariah. Hey, Learn, Heron, Do. Hey, guys, be sure to engage. If you have any questions during this masterclass, again, be sure to comment. This will be a long video. I just want to put that in the notes. This is going to be a long video. So if you do not like my live streams, if you do not like long video YouTube content, I recommend maybe finding someone else to give you this information. But I want to tell you why we're doing this as a masterclass and as a longer video. Number one, I don't just want to give you a vendor list, because you can get that from any other YouTuber where they're going to give you, here's 10 places to print your journal or planner, right? And you can click the links, but you still have questions on fulfillment. What do I look for? What do I look for before I get my quotes? So I actually want to teach you some terms. I want to talk to you about what you're looking for before you even go to print. So this is like the print master class of all classes, okay? So let's get started. Okay, so now let's talk about the three things that we want to talk about before we begin. And guys, I have a lot of notes here, so if you see me looking down, it's because we have a lot to cover. So the first thing I want to suggest is, before you start looking for any type of printer manufacturer, I recommend that you already have an idea of the project overall, because this is pretty much like going shopping, right? And before you go shopping, let's say you're going to a supermarket, you want to have your shopping list, right? Because we all know what it's like to go into Target or Walmart or the supermarket and you don't have a list. You end up spending more than what you planned on. And it's different when it's bread, milk, a few items of clothing, but we're talking about business expenses. And so you definitely want to have an idea of what kind of project you're doing. And this is where our previous video, which was the how to plan out your planner journal project, go check out our last video. That video is filled with amazing tips on how to framework your project, your planner and journal project, because that, in my opinion, is where any person should first start before we talk about design, before we talk about printers, before we talk about packaging, before we talk about your online store. First, fill out, okay? First, fill out the planner, the planning document for your planner and journal. Okay, that's the first thing that I want you guys to complete before we talk about printers. The second thing is to know your budget. We touched on this in our last video. Knowing your budget is going to be essential before you shop for your printer, okay? The third thing is, before we dive into these major steps, is to get your emotions out of it. Because we are talking about planners and journals, right? A lot of you love planners and journals. You are a planner and journal lover yourself. And because of that, you have an emotional connection to what you're spending your money on. And that is one of the most dangerous things to do when you're building your business, is shopping or spending money emotionally in your business, okay? For many of you, this is going to be your first project, or this is your first time doing a planner and journal project. And so, some of you are so emotionally connected that, oh yeah, if it's $2 more per unit, that's fine. Oh, it's going to be $17. Oh, that's fine. And you end up also wanting to put all these frills. We talked about this last week. You want to put all these frills into the project, and by the time you get done, your first planner or journal, or maybe whether it's your second or third, you've spent so much money on this project that your profit margins are slow. I mean, you're barely cutting, on making any money really from what you've put in. And as I recommend before we go through these 4 steps, is that you want your first project to be the most cost efficient. I'm going to say this one again before we dive into these printing, because everybody wants to have a list of printers. But guys, this is more than just you picking any printer, okay? Your first project, okay, is going to be, it should be your most cost efficient. And learn a hair and do, we're going to dive into that a little bit later. But we're going to touch on that. But your first product should be your most cost efficient. In other words, you're testing a concept. So sometimes when my clients come to me and they're saying, Genesis, I want to go overseas, which is going to be another video. We're going to do an overseas video in my next one. But, I want to do a really luxury planner. I want this, I want that, right? And I'm like, okay, well, what does your audience look like? How many people do you have currently in your audience? Oh, well, I'm just getting started. So you have a 0 audience, and you want to put thousands into a product. And when that inventory arrives, you're going to be sitting there with units. So this is why this video is print on a budget. This is about smaller projects where you're putting less money into the project. You're probably going to be spending somewhere between, I would say, maybe $300 to $500 total in inventory and marketing. Okay, so super on a budget, right? But this is also going to help you to have a starting product to build the business, to build your following, so that you can upgrade over time. Okay, some of you're ready to put in the thousands. I have clients that are ready to put in 3, 5, 10, 15 grand. But for some of us, right, you're saying, Genesis, let's start off with maybe 50 units, maybe 20 planners or journals, maybe, 10. Let me sell 10, let me sell 20, let me sell 30, let me sell 100 first before I go out here and really go full boom, okay? Now, again, we will be having a video that will cover overseas. That's a separate video, because what I really want to focus on in this video is the budget. Like, you have a small budget, we're not spending a ton of money, okay? So, step 1, let's get into these steps, okay? If you're ready for us to deep dive, let me hear in the comments. I see that we have a good amount of people watching the live stream. So let me know in the comments if you're ready to deep dive. Let me know in the comments if you're ready to jump into these 4 steps. I promise you, you're going to leave here with so much information, okay, that you're going to be like, whoa, I'm going to need to step away and kind of deep dive, okay? A little separately, okay? So if you're ready, let me know, because I am definitely ready to do this deep dive, okay? Oh, I have one of my clients here. And even if you, like one of my clients, even if you have already produced a planner or journal, when you're producing your next one, these are the processes and the steps I still want you guys to follow, okay? So let's go into step one. Step one is to shop first with a basic list of specs. This is the first thing you want to do. You want to shop first with a basic list of specs. Let's break down what I want you to do before you even go shopping. This is what I want you to have gathered, okay? The first is going to be your page count estimation. Some of you, what you do is you go to every single website you can find that can print planners and journals, and then you just start gathering a whole bunch of quotes. But it's impossible really to gather your quotes until you have what you're looking for, right? So the first thing again is page count estimation. Do not go over 200 pages. I mean, and this is especially for those of you, this is your first one. Now your second one, you can kind of go a little bit more wild, but my 250 is a really thick product, but 200 is a sweet spot. I love 200. And to me, 200 is like my max. I like below. I like 150. I like, even for journals, even below that, give me 120. But for your first project, keep it under 200 pages. Okay. We talked about this before. You want to know what your size is that you're looking for. Do you want black and white or color? Okay, what kind of binding or cover finish do you want? Do you want spiral? Do you want hardback? Do you want paperback? One of my clients who is in the chat now, the pinup planner, right, which I'm going to shout out, Revolver on the Road, check her out. When she did her pinup planner, she offered a plethora. So she has her hardback, she has her spiral, right? She did different versions. It's the same cover, same interior, but she did different versions. So this is not to say that you can't do multiple ones, but you at least want to give yourself, okay, what exactly do I want to do, right? Because this part is going to be very, 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 very important, okay? When it comes to size, it's also important to note of what size matters to your audience. Okay, it's not just about what size do you like, but what size matters to your audience as far as their writing space. If you're looking for something that's more of, on the go, right? Then it can't be 8.5 by 11. That's not on the go. No one can put that in their purse, right? But you want to go somewhere where it probably is a little bit bigger, right? If you want to have that at home, but if it's in the pocket in the purse, we have to go smaller. But it can't be too small to where they have to write like this, right? So this is where you're definitely going to want to do your research. You want to look at some samples, get some ideas of what kind of size you're looking for, okay? And I would have maybe 2 to 3 options of sizing, okay, that you would be okay with. You also want to know, what paper color or weight do you want? So do you want it to be white, cream? And again, when we talk about print on demand, you're not going to have that many options, but at least kind of get an idea of what quality that, you're going to want to do, okay? It's also important to know what kind of additional features. Now, if you want to go full-fledged, tabs, pocket, dividers, you want gold foil stamping, you want stickers, that's overseas. This is not the video for that. Okay. Now you can kind of get around with it by, for instance, where maybe you get some stickers printed somewhere else, right? Because most of the printers we're going to recommend today, they won't build for you a custom planner like that. There is one we're going to discuss. There is one, but it's not going to be the most cost efficient. So, there is a way to kind of work around that. But if you're looking for that full luxe planner where everything's in the planner or journal, that's the overseas video. Wait on the channel for that video. Okay. So these are some of the things. The other thing that you want to also know is where will the product get shipped to? Because when you ask for a quote, you also want to know the shipping quote. Okay, because it's not just the unit cost, also what does the shipping look like, especially the next question, which is how many units are you thinking about ordering, right? Because I want to get a quote. And I want to get a quote that is telling me, okay, if I'm ordering 50, this is what it looks like. If I'm ordering 25, this is what it looks like, okay? Now, don't stress these companies out, especially the smaller ones where you want 10 different quotes. Please do not be that person. Please, please, please do not be that person. Please do not be that person, okay? So give yourself maybe 2 to 3 quote options, okay? And you run with those, okay? So those are some of the things that I want you guys to think about before you place your quote with these. And of course, like I said before, definitely do your research. I love going in person to places like Barnes and Nobles. I love Home Goods. Anyone else love Home Goods by Marshalls? Usually in their office section, they have a great selection where you can kind of preview different planners and journals that they sell. I am a Home Goods junkie, okay? Do not get me in the stationery aisle at Home Goods, because I may buy like 3 to 5 planners and I don't need them. Like, I don't need 3 to 5 2022 planners, but as someone who literally is a planner and journal consultant, I just like seeing it. I'm like, okay, this will give me a good idea of this, and this will give me a good idea of this. I was in Dollar General grabbing a card for someone, and they had a kind of a make it yourself planner. It was like a $5 kit, and I was so tempted to buy it just to kind of use it as some research for kind of like building planner kits with my clients. And I was like, you know what, Genesis, don't get it. Keep on walking, right? But again, definitely do your research. Go to Staples, okay? You can go to Staples. You can go to any place that offers, or even stationery stores, just to get an idea of what you're looking for, kind of get an idea, okay? So that's going to be step one. Those are the specs that we want to go through. Now, let's really have a deep conversation, because I want to shout out one of my followers who reached out to me on Instagram that actually is the reason for why we're doing this video. And that is Aura Beauty Studio. Now, hopefully I'm saying that right. Her Instagram is Aura Beauty Studio Berry. And she's the one that is the reason why we're doing this video. So, when you guys submit questions to me on Instagram, I read them. And when you submit questions, how we have on our Glam Print Go website now, we have a YouTube Q&A form. I read those questions because that is what establishes what content we put on YouTube. And she is the reason why, because she had questions where she was like, I don't understand, the whole print on demand concept. Like, what exactly is that? And what is very interesting is that a lot of the content on YouTube, some of it is not very detailed in understanding different forms of fulfillment, right? Because some people, they think that drop shipping and print on demand are the same thing, and they're not the same thing, okay? So step 2 is we need to understand fulfillment options prior to going to print. So I'm going to actually talk about in this step about understanding the business model that you're going to have for your business, you understanding what print on demand looks like, you understanding what your fulfillment options look like, so we can really understand, okay, how we're going to do the project. Because again, most people on YouTube, you run to go find some vendors to print, and then you're like, okay, I got it, I'm going to go pick one and let me go. No, let's take a step back. Okay. The first thing I want to discuss in understanding fulfillment options is, how do you want the business to actually work? Okay. Do you want this to be where we have a couple business models? The first traditional business model works like this, okay? And I'm going to use, give me one second. I'm going to use an example, okay, for the purpose of this video. The traditional business model is where you go through the process yourself of creating the product, okay? The traditional business model is where, you use a platform where you're actually like designing the cover, the interior, you're picking a printer, right? I mean, this is basically your idea fleshed fully out. Got it? From the printer quality, from the quality of the printer paper, to whether it is a gloss or matte finish, to how many pages are inside. I mean, everything is custom, okay? And with this traditional business model, the inventory is going to your address, okay? And you are fulfilling the product, okay? You are solely responsible for the fulfillment. So the moment that the order is made on your website, you are responsible from the moment of that order to the product getting to their house. That's the traditional business model, okay? And that is going to be your most cost-efficient way, okay? Because I hear people tell me all the time, Genesis, I don't feel like having inventory in my house. But then they also want to make a ton of money. right? And unless you are coming into the business with a ton of money where you can kind of really build up your marketing and have these amazing campaigns and, work with a ton of influencers and then have a ton of orders coming in, once you kick off, for most small business owners, you want to save as much money as possible. And so while you may not want to fulfill orders on your own, you want to make sure that if you do go outside of fulfilling orders on your own, that you are picking a fulfillment platform that won't rob you of every penny. Does that make sense? Especially if you don't have a ton of orders, okay? So in my opinion, the traditional business model of you going out, sourcing it yourself, or not sourcing it, but you going out and making it yourself as far as, where it's very custom, it going to your house and you fulfilling orders is the smartest way to start. And once you get to a place where you're getting at least 30 to 50 orders a day, that's when you need to think about using someone else, okay? The second business model is going to be your reseller or wholesaler business. And that's going to be where, let's say, for instance, you don't want to create custom journals yourself, but you're open to buying planners and journals, maybe, overseas in China, or maybe through some kind of marketplace where you're reselling them. So you're not making anything custom yourself. You're not designing anything. You're just simply you're sourcing it and then you're selling it, okay? But with this model, you are still fulfilling it yourself, because this is a way where you can still make good bang for your buck, because even though you're getting it yourself, you're getting it at a wholesale price, you're able to make money, and then again, you're handling the fulfillment on your own. So that's the second business model. The third business model is going to be drop shipping. And this is important because drop shipping is not print on demand. Those are two separate things. Print on demand, which we're going to get into, is how it's printed. Drop shipping is how it's fulfilled and shipped. Does everyone understand the difference? Because this is the biggest misconception in planners and journals, okay? So drop shipping is actually when, this is very important, drop shipping is when you use other people's products. You're finding other people's products, okay? And you don't have any inventory coming to your house. You find someone else has made this, okay? Someone else has created this, and you're simply obtaining it and then reselling it. But here's the thing, they're also shipping it for you. So you're not responsible for any fulfillment. The only thing you're responsible for is placing the product on your site, right? Collecting the money and then paying the drop shipper, okay, for their product and for them to ship it. Does that make sense? So that's not print on demand. But what we have found is that there are stores and platforms that do print on demand and drop shipping. Does that make sense? I'll give you a perfect example. How many of you are familiar with Printful? Is anyone familiar with Printful? Printful is a drop shipper, because what you're doing is you're not creating the product. You're not, you're not making the t-shirts. You're not even sourcing where the t-shirts come from. They provide the inventory for you. Okay, you place an image on it. It's not like, you're stitching it together, right? You're placing an image on it. That's all you're doing, is you're just customizing it by placing an image on it. Does that make sense? And they're the ones, though, who have the inventory. They're not reselling it to you. They're not wholesaling it to you, right? You're not customizing this inventory. That's why it's called drop shipping, because you are simply just adding a piece of customization, but it's their inventory, right? And then they ship it to your customer on your behalf, okay? So you receive the money, but then you pay Printful, and you pay Printful for the t-shirt or for the notebook or journal itself, and okay, you pay for the shipping. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so this is why when people teach these concepts, you got to make sure you're talking to someone who actually understands what planners and journals and the business of it, because people confuse print on demand and drop shipping, and it's not the same thing. Okay, so again, these are your three business models for your business overall. Okay, either you are now some people are a mixture. There are some businesses where they have their own products and they also have drop shipping. So I'm not saying you can't do different types, but for most people, I would start off with one. okay, or maybe max 2. So we have traditional business model, okay, we have a reseller or wholesaler business model, we have the drop shipping business model, okay. So those are the 3 models. The one that I recommend the most is traditional. Okay, you get it, your traditional or wholesale. I'm really not a big push, and this is very important for this masterclass, okay? Because when I first started this channel, well, not first started, but when I really started to grow the channel, it was with the t-shirt and mug video. How many of you guys, has anyone been with me that long? I think it's been almost 5 years, okay, 5 or 6 years, maybe longer than that. And drop shipping is fun because you don't have to find the products, right? You put your image on it, and you send it out. But your margins are really not the best, right? And you also don't have the ability to really have any type of quality control like you would have. And so that's why I'm really not big into it. I know there's a lot of drop shipping millionaires, but for the planner and journal business, I highly recommend the traditional business model or reseller where you can touch the product. I'm really big into that. I want to feel the product. That's important to me. Okay. Now let's talk about fulfillment. Okay, let's talk about fulfillment. We just covered business models. Now let's talk about fulfillment. With fulfillment, you have 2 options. Okay, you got 2 options. The first is you handling fulfillment. And some people may say, well, Genesis, what does this have to do with printers? It has everything to do with it because you pick your printer based upon your business model and based upon how you want to fulfill. Because what some people do is, again, you watch a YouTube video, they give you here are my top 10 printing vendors. And you're like, okay, these are my options. But that's not how you do it. You first figure out, how do I want to run my business? What am I prepared to do in my business? And then how do I want this whole thing to work? What's my systems and operations that I want in place? Because again, we're running a business. We're not just selling planners and journals to make money. We are building something. And that's why I'm so passionate about Print School, is that we're building something that will allow us to enjoy our livelihood, our passions, will give us options in life, more freedom. And so when you build that kind of business, you don't rush into it. You take a step back to say, you know what? How do I want to live my life? Do I want to be tied to a keyboard for the rest of my life? Or do I want to build something where I'm making some real money and down the road I can hire, I can outsource, and I can just, not to say you'll be laying back on a laptop and Wi-Fi, but at least you're building something substantial and not just collecting royalty checks like some of these people are, and not really building a business, okay? I'm about businesses, not royalty checks, okay? I want something where I can pass it down to my loved ones or to my children, and they can understand the way to operate a business. So that's why we're teaching it like this, not to ramp, but I got to say that, okay? So when it comes to fulfillment, there's 2 options. The first is you fulfilling it. So if you're fulfilling it, here are some things we want to have in place before we ever go to print, because we want to understand what this involves. So traditional fulfillment, you're going to need a business address, and you're going to need an address that can receive packages. Okay. And so that can be a PO box, that can be a virtual business address, or a co-working space address. So if you're like, for me, my address is actually my co-working space where I have a mailbox at, and that allows me to receive, anything to that address. Okay. But it needs to be an address where packages can come to. Of course, the second thing is that you have to understand that you're responsible for fulfilling the orders yourself. I know I'm repeating myself, but that is a reality. And some people, they say, I don't want to fulfill orders myself. Again, take your emotions out of it. Okay? Do you want to build a business, or do you just want an easy business? Because there's no such thing as an easy business. There's no such thing. So if you're looking for the easiest way to start, this is not the video for you. If you're looking for the most profitable and the best way to start, this is the video for you, okay? You may not want to fulfill orders yourself. But the real question is, do you want to make chump change, or do you want to actually build a business? That's what I would like to know, right? So if you want something easy where you just collect some chump change, okay. But it's better to fulfill yourself when you're first starting, okay? And here's my thing. The best way to really scale a planner and journal business is to build your audience, right? Fulfill the product yourself, and then build a team with part-time or full-time help. First, start off with part-time. Okay, you don't need to have a full-fledged staff, but if the thing is, you want to build to where you have a consistent amount of orders every week. And then from there, okay, and making sure that those margins are correct and healthy, that should allow you, if you're pricing your products right, building your marketing, that will allow you to hire someone part-time to help you fulfill orders. Okay, because I would rather pay somebody, some money per hour, an hourly rate to get started to help me fulfill all those orders, especially when I can no longer do it myself. But you want to get to the place where you want to go as far as you can, okay, and then you want to get some help. And I would actually hire help before I go and outsource. Okay, and we have seen many small business owners grow that way, and they've grown very well, and they've grown in a healthy manner because they're trying to keep costs down as much as possible. So a lot of times it's better to hire in-house. Okay, so that could be a plan of trajectory for you across time. Okay, now of course the second way of fulfillment is 3PL. And 3PL means third-party logistics. And this is basically where the order goes from your store to a warehouse, okay, to actual third-party logistics company. And this is where usually they have an integration that connects with your store. And I always suggest that, I love Shopify. I'm huge into Shopify. And so there are a few that I'm going to suggest that directly sync with Shopify. And then there's a couple other ones that I will suggest. Like for instance, let's start off with Amazon FBA. Amazon FBA is where, of course, Amazon is your fulfillment platform. And this is not where you're using Amazon KDP. Because if you use Amazon KDP, that's not the same thing as Amazon FBA. When you use Amazon KDP, you're using Amazon as actually your publisher, as your self-publisher. And so you collect royalties off of that, okay? But when you go somewhere else to get it printed, because here's the thing, if you use Amazon KDP to get it printed, you cannot, you could, but it's just, no. If you're going to use Amazon FBA, go get it printed somewhere else. And then you're going to send Amazon your inventory, and Amazon will be your fulfillment. And usually this is where, you'll have the Amazon storefront where people can purchase products from Amazon, okay? And then Amazon is responsible for fulfilling it. Does that make sense? Okay. Then you have other local fulfillment centers wherever you live. I live in the United States and I live in Delaware. So there are fulfillment centers in Delaware, surrounding regional areas, the Philadelphia area, the South Jersey area, the Baltimore area, right? And so the Maryland area. So my point is that you can also research in your country and especially in your region to see if there are fulfillment centers, or you can look up the word 3PL and then you can search, okay, by your area. So for instance, I could search, fulfillment center Delaware, fulfillment center Philadelphia, fulfillment center UK, or wherever you live, South Africa, and seeing what they have available. Now, the ones I'm about to give you, again, all this is listed in the description box in the article. Everything I'm saying is already listed in the article. So if you're like, what did she say? Click the article, okay? Now, the ones I'm about to suggest are integrated directly with Shopify, because I'm all about Shopify. I love Shopify. And if you're getting to the place where you are getting at least 30 to 50 orders a day, I highly recommend you upgrade to the Shopify Plus level. Shopify regularly is $29 a month, the regular level, right? But the next level is Shopify Plus. And to me, that's where you are getting enough orders where, you really are growing the business, because you think about it, if you're doing 30 orders a day by 30 days, woo, you are fulfilling a lot of orders, okay? And so you definitely probably want to use a larger type of platform, and that's going to be Shopify Plus. And with that, here are the platforms that are 3PLs that you can sync with Shopify. Those are ShipBob. This is a fulfillment company where, again, the order goes from your store to their back end. You have already shipped them your inventory and they're fulfilling it for you, okay? ShipBob is one, ShipBob. You have Shopify Fulfillment. Shopify launched their own fulfillment service that you can actually have. I think it's phenomenal how Shopify is scaling their business. They have really... this is why I'm a huge proponent of Shopify. They have really built the platform for e-commerce stores. And so they have their own fulfillment option as well, where you ship them the inventory and they will fulfill the order for you. The third one is Red Stag. Red Stag Fulfillment is another 3PL that does the same thing, okay? And it integrates directly with Shopify. And then the last one is Fulfilled, FYLD, another 3PL that integrates directly with Shopify. And again, these are companies that you use once you have, again, between 30 to 50 orders at least in your store every day. So if you're getting an order once a day, it's not time yet. Okay. The other reason why too it's not time yet is you are not generating enough revenue to where it's cost efficient to outsource. Okay. So this goes back to, again, you may not want to fulfill orders, but unless you have the numbers to prove that it is the right time to outsource, do not jump directly into outsourcing. Okay. Okay. So this is important that we cover these things because these things, again, contribute to who we pick as the printer and the fulfillment. Now, there are some companies that do both. They print and they fulfill. There are some companies that just print. There are some companies that just fulfill. The ones that we just listed, they just fulfill. Okay, they are not making your planner and journal for you. Those are fulfillment places. If you are going to be fulfilling orders yourself, there you go, right? Now, I want us to talk about, and is this helping you guys? Let me know if this is helping you guys. Is this information helpful? Again, I want to make sure I'm hitting all the corners, but I really do believe this is like the masterclass. Like, I feel like this is the class that I wish when I first started, because I didn't cover this in the how to start your own prayer journal video. I talked about Amazon KDP and a couple other ones, but this class is like, okay, let me really learn about how I'm actually going to do this, okay? Because I remember when I first got started, no one was talking this language. Let's talk about the next step, step 3. I want us to talk about bulk orders, print on demand, drop shipping, your country or overseas. Where do we print? Okay, because we just talked, okay, we can fulfill it here. I can fill it myself. Okay, now based upon what I want to do and how I want to run my business, now let's talk about what is print on demand? What is print on demand? People talk about print on demand. Genesis, you've been talking about print on demand. What is it? Well, it's like what I said. Drop shipping is not print on demand. Print on demand is not drop shipping. Drop shipping, again, is when you are sourcing something you have not manufactured, really customized outside of a graphic you slapped on it, no offense, but doing that, okay? And then they ship it for you. Print on demand is simply the way it's printed. It literally means that things get printed as it's needed. So it's not bulk order where you have what's called an MOQ. MOQ means minimum order quantity. You have to order a minimum of a certain amount in order for them to actually do business with you, right? So this is why most people, when they start with print on demand because there is no minimum. If you think about it, if I only have, let's say $300, right? And let's say I go to a printer and they say, well, you have to order at least 25 units. And let's say your units end up being $8 a pop, which is another one. Number one is too high. So 8 times, and I'm about to be slow real quick, but we're going to do math. 8 times 25 is $200. So if my budget is $300, just for the units alone, woo! Okay, I'm about 20%. I'm sorry. Oh my God, my mind's blank. I'm 60%, almost over 60% full of my budget. I only have literally $100 left, right? So I'm already 2/3 into my budget, and that's just for the units, right? So this is why it is important that for most people who have a certain budget, print on demand is going to be your best bet. Okay, now let's talk about the pros and cons, okay? We do print on demand when, number one, like I said before, you only want to order a small amount. So we're talking about under 100, shoot even under 200, shoot even under 300, okay? And the other benefit is that it's inexpensive for beginning businesses. You don't have to put a ton of capital in the business to get started, right? Because again, you don't have to have a set amount of units, right? It's also really best if you're testing a concept that you haven't really locked in. So instead of you going overseas and again getting 500 units, which I talk about all the time, you're like, you know what, let me see if I can sell 10, 20, 30, 50, 100. And then if that goes well, okay, then I'll go overseas. And remember, your first product is always a proof of concept. because it's not like you had the world tell you it works yet. So again, that's also a reason why people do print on demand. Okay. The third benefit is that it has shorter shipping times. If you ship from overseas, you're looking at least 30 to 60 days for your units to actually get to your front door, whether it's your office or your PO box, not PO box, or the post office or wherever. It's going to take you about 30 to 60 days. It's going to take actually 30 days to get them printed, and then it's going to take additional 30 days to get to you. And right now this video is being recorded in 2022. Now, I'm not sure if someone will be watching this 3 years, 4 years later, right? But I will say this, in the pandemic currently, the shipping times are not really that much better though. For instance, it took for one of my clients, it took her recently 4 weeks to get a sample, to get one sample. One sample. It took another one of my clients who used Amazon KDP. She's using she decided to print a hardback, and it took her around 3 to 4 weeks to get the sample, and then it took about 4 weeks to get her bulk order. So it's not as if, it's going to come like in a week. Now, some ship faster than others, but right now in the pandemic, it's not like you're going to get it in 2 weeks. Now, the funny part about it is that depending upon what you're printing, it may be shorter, but overall, it is quicker. Print on demand is quicker process. And of course, the last benefit is that it's easy to upload your files. I mean, if I go to Loop, we're going to talk about some brands, but most of these platforms, I can upload a file in less than 48 hours. And some platforms instantly, there is no approval process. You kind of just go up there and upload. And, if there's any mistakes, they'll let you know. Other platforms, you have to upload, and then someone will actually approve the files. Like someone will physically approve the files. But for most of it, it's very quick. It's not like you're working overseas or even in the States or in your country with like a small business bindery or printing company where, you're kind of working with them on the files, right? So a lot of people like how fast it is. Now, here are the downsides to print on demand. Okay. And of course, it's cheap. That's why most people, it's cheap. It is cheap. I can get a planner journal done for less than $5. Okay, so that's why it's benefits. But here are the downsides that some of my clients have experienced, I have experienced, is that you don't have many printing options, right? So when we get into these vendors, you will notice, and some of you guys have already done planners and journals, or you've already used these platforms and you've already experienced some foolishness. So some of it is that there's not many printing options, right? When it comes to your paper weights of 70-pound paper, 80-pound paper, 50-pound paper, they're set, they set it. So you don't get a range of options, right? It's not like you can pick from a plethora of paper quality, or even how it's bound, right? Or your finishing options. It's very limited. But the reason why it's limited, if you think about it from a business perspective, it's a cheap platform. You get what you pay for, right? So these large businesses that allow you to do print on demand, where you can get a product printed for $3 and you're only printing one, that's why they're limiting it. Because the moment, if they allowed you to have all those customizations, the price would jump up, because there's no way they can mass produce custom products and you only pay $3, $4, $5. That's not even fair to them from a business perspective. So that's why it's like that. Another con is that you don't really get a dedicated salesperson that you work with when you are working on your project or uploading the files. It's pretty much a software system that you upload files through. You walk through the process, and then when you get to end, you hit a submit button, and that's pretty much it. And the only time you really talk to customer service is if there's a problem. So it's not like you get a dedicated person, right? The last one, and this is the biggest one I really want to talk about, that, again, this is why this is a masterclass. When you use print-on-demand platforms, most of them are self-publishing platforms for books. Amazon KDP is technically for books. Blurb is for books. Lulu is for books. Ingram Spark, these are for books. Right? So most of us who are using these print-on-demand platforms, we're using it for planners and journals, but technically these platforms are for books. This is why they're called self-publishing platforms, because you publish books. You don't publish planners and journals. They're not reading materials. Right now, some of them have guides in them, so that's kind of where it, you can say it's a book, but these really are not books. Okay, so it's important to note this because with some of these platforms, they require for you to have an ISBN if you use their platforms for distribution, because these are technically self-publishing companies, and so their distribution is to Barnes and Nobles, is to, Amazon, is to book platforms. Does this make sense? Because technically planners and journals do not require ISBNs because they're not books. Mind blown. They're not books. When you go, here's how I'm going to ask you this question, right? When you go to Staples and you pick up a Day Designer, or you pick up a Happy Planner, or you pick up any type of planner, I want you to find me the ISBN. Not the store barcode, find me the ISBN. Now, some journals, guided journals, are published as books because of how much content they have in them. They're basically books because of how much content is inside, right? But technically, planners and journals do not require ISBNs. I want you to go to Home Goods and I want you to go pick up a planner and journal they have and they're selling in a store. Find me the ISBN. You won't find it. You will find your UPC code, like the codes, the store barcodes, their GS1. You will find store codes. You will not find an ISBN. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions that is taught with planners and journals, where people do not understand what it means as a business, because these people don't have it. They took somebody's class and they're reselling you the information for $24.99. That's no shade to anybody. I'm just saying, this is why I'm passionate about what I teach, because if not, you think you need an ISBN. You don't need an ISBN for planners and journals. You need them for devotionals. You need them for workbooks. You need them for any type of guided journal that has a ton of mass content in it, a lot of teachings in it. That's where, because it's basically a book. And you also want it listed in the book aisle. Here is another source of information I'm going to give it to you when it comes to the ISBN information. When you go to Barnes and Nobles, there's a difference between where books are located at. Perfect example. When you go, has anyone been to the stationery section of Barnes and Nobles, where they have the planners and journals and like pens and like stationery items? Has anyone ever? I love that section of Barnes and Nobles. You won't find an ISBN on those products. But if you go into the category sections of Barnes and Nobles, like, health and wellness, spirituality, Christianity, business, you will find journals in those sections that have ISBNs because the person who made them wanted to list it as a book. So the books in Barnes and Nobles go in the book sections, but the planners and journals, usually the main ones, will be in the stationery section because they are not books. They're with the totes. They're with the pens, right? And this is kind of us understanding store placement and like where you want your product, because the other thing about, and we're going to talk about this, the pros and cons before we get into our vendors, is that when you talk about ISBNs, you do not need one, okay? What you need is your copyright. If you want to get anything, get a copyright. Go to copyright.gov and file your planner and journal for copyright for the interior. That's what you need. That's it. And then if you decide to do the fulfillment centers that we talked about, as you grow and scale, you will need to get your codes. You will probably need to get a GS1, and that's a whole other conversation, and barcodes to put on your inventory before you ship into the fulfillment center. But outside of that, you don't need one, okay? So does everyone understand that concept? That's important. Importante, that's very important, okay? So those are the pros and cons of print on demand, because a lot of times when you use those platforms, they force you, like Lulu. If you decide to use their platform, not to just do like an individual order, but if you try to use Lulu.com to use their store platform option, they require for you to have an ISBN. And so you either have to go buy an ISBN, which there's nothing wrong with buying them, but it doesn't need one. Or they will ask you, they don't, I'm trying to figure out if they offer one. I forgot about that. But usually they definitely require one. Same thing for Amazon KDP. They require an ISBN. Either you go buy one from Balker.com or you will use their own, which means that you're tied to their terms and agreements, okay? Same thing for Ingram Spark. They require ISBNs. So it's very important that you realize when you use print on demand, most of them, not all, but most of them will force you to have an ISBN, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just a part of it. Okay, because it's not a book. Okay, now let's talk about our printing options. And the copyright email is copyright.gov. It's not an email. It's actually the website. If you just type in copyright.gov, G-O-V, and it takes you to the government's website to file your planner and journal for copyright. That is at the minimum what you need to get. Okay, and if you do not understand how to file a copyright, talk to a copyright lawyer, or we call those intellectual property lawyers. Okay, and that is going to be a course of action for you to take if you want to go down that road. Okay, so we talked about print on demand. Print on demand, again, is the inexpensive route. Now let's talk about vendors for print on demand, because that's what this video is about. And I'm also going to mention those who are not necessarily print on demand, and if you want to have other options. Okay. If you want to create a planner or journal that does not have a custom interior, some people call these have you guys ever heard this term, low content planners and journals? You call them low content, right? And there's a lot of videos on YouTube about low content, where basically you put a custom cover on the front and you sell them on Amazon, Etsy. People are making money doing that, right? So there's no really intellectual property to the product. It just has a custom cover. And actually, if you're an artist, that may be a great way to start, where you're just putting your artwork on the cover. Or maybe some of you just want to sell a planner and journal and you don't want a custom interior, you just want a cover, okay? Here are your options. Let's start off with drop shippers. Okay, so this is where you are using someone else to source the product and you're just adding a design to it. Printify, Printify, offers spiral and hardcover options, and they offer lined or blank pages. And if you go to the description box underneath this video and you go to the article, I've linked all the people I'm naming. So again, if you need these details, I've linked it in the article below, okay, and on YouTube in the description box, okay? So there's Printify. Printify is a drop shipper like Printful, Guten, but Printify is different. Printify is where they are not actually how should I put this? Printify is a platform that has a plethora of manufacturers. So it's not where, they're the ones actually printing it. They connect you with different manufacturers that offer drop shipping, if that makes sense. And you can go to printify.com to learn more of how it works. But that's it. I like Printful, but I don't like their prices. I think that some of their products are too high, and I definitely do not like their notebook option. It's way too high. It's like $11. That's ridiculous. But they do offer drop ship, but Printful also offers fulfillment options. So if you don't even want to use them for what they sell, they do offer fulfillment. So you can actually send them your custom planners and journals, and they actually are a fulfillment option. There's also Guten. Guten offers one option. It is a lined spiral notebook. So we have Printful, Guten, Printify. I'll be honest, I used to be big on drop shippers. I'm not really big on them when it comes to notebooks and planners. I know I may sound like a hater, but I just don't like their price points. I think the best price points out of all of these platforms is going to be Printify. But Guten and Printful, especially Printful, price is way too high. I don't include places like Zazzle or Redbubble or any place that kind of is like a marketplace platform, because the costs are ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, to me, you would have to sell these planners and journals that are not even custom at a certain price point. And hey, if you can do it, great. I'm not hating on it. But for me, I would rather create a custom interior product where I can really sell the value and kind of scale the business that way. I mean, to be honest, you won't hear of too many people blowing up. And let's just be real. Now, they may be selling courses and classes that help them to make a ton of money. But I have rarely found a place that has hit $250,000 to $500,000 in revenue per year, where they're drop shipping planners and journals, from Printful or from Printify or from Guten. Now, I've seen people make money where they're wholesaling. They're buying planners and journals at, really low prices. They're buying a large bulk amount of inventory and reselling them. I've seen that. But I have not yet seen an example, and I'm not saying that you can't make some money, but I'm talking about building an actual company. Usually, they're going to either get it done overseas eventually themselves, or they're going to make it themselves, like Ivory Paper Co. If anyone's familiar with Ivory Paper Co., they actually make their own I'm talking about where they have their own paper, they have their own binding systems, they make it themselves. That allows them to cut down those unit costs and to have healthier margins. But outside of that, I haven't really seen anybody really blow up. I'm not saying you can definitely start there, but it will not be where you will stay. Okay. So that's why I don't include those kind of marketplace places. Now let's talk about vendors for custom interior and custom cover. So in other words, you are doing custom interior, like you're coming with, with what you want on the inside. You are, getting a designer to make all the pages and stuff like that. Okay. Now this video, we will not cover design. That will be another video. We are strictly focusing on printing, fulfillment, getting it made. Okay. And for those who are asking about copyright, I will answer that question towards the end. If you have any questions, be sure to put them in the comments so that I can answer them for you. If you're watching the replay, give me your questions and comments so that I can answer them for you in another video. Now, like I said before, with the ones that we're about to jump into that do custom interior and custom cover, right? Are y'all ready for this real advice I'm about to give y'all? I may be hurting some of y'all's favorite gurus. Y'all ready? If you ready for this little gem I'm about to drop you? Okay, let me know if you're ready. Because if you're sensitive, this information in this masterclass may not be for you. Some people are obsessed about popularity and fame. They're not really about building profitable business. They just kind of want to be seen and heard and felt. They want to have titles. If that's you, if you're into your title, into bestseller, then this may not help you. This may actually offend you. Okay, but if you're ready for this information, okay, I'm gonna help you. Now, this video will remain up because technically this is supposed to be Tuesday's video, but I'm doing on Monday so that I definitely make the upload deadline. Okay, so yes, this video is staying up. This is our video for this week of uploads. Okay, okay, great. Okay, so here is what I'm about to tell you. We're about to go through all of the platforms you guys probably have heard of. Amazon, KDP, someone asked about. Vervante, Ingram Spark, Lulu, Blurb, right? We're about to talk about these different platforms that some of you guys have already used or heard. And what I want to say first is that I personally, the more and more I'm in this business, the less and less I am a huge fan. I do love Amazon KDP. Don't get me wrong. I do love it in some regards. But I do want to discuss, okay, some information regarding the distribution. Because remember what I just said. Amazon KDP, Lulu, oh my God, Ingram Spark, right? They are technically considered self-publishing platforms. They're not just a place to print. You're using them to print, but these are technically book self-publishing platforms, okay? And a lot of people are teaching, let me take a step back. So I want to make sure I'm saying this right and not stepping on too many toes. A lot of planner and journal people are teaching individuals, go get your book printed on Amazon, KDP, and that's it. That's the only place. And you notice I've never taught that. I've always said there's different places to print, okay? Because what they'll tell you to do is, here's how you get listed on Barnes & Noble. Here's how you get listed on Amazon. Here's how you get listed. So you hear people say, my book is on barnesandnobles.com. This is not to shame anybody, but I want to give you some tea with this, okay? Your book being listed on barnesandnobles.com is really not an achievement because really it's a scam. I'm going to tell you how it's a scam, okay? When you get your book listed through distribution through Amazon KDP, okay, they are taking a cut of your profits for what they call expanded distribution. You'll see this on Lulu. You'll see this on Ingram Spark where they'll say, they don't offer where they ship to your customer. What they do is they offer you distribution. So, your book will be on these platforms and, they'll make sure that people can order from those platforms. But I want to really ask you a question, right? Why is that a benefit? Oh, because it's listed on Barnes & Nobles. But here's the question. Are people coming for your book on Barnes & Nobles? Are people going on Barnes & Nobles and being like, you know what? I want to buy the Royal Prayer Journal. Right? Because that's what I first did. When I first got started, I was like, oh, they offer expanded distribution. I can get my book on Barnes and Nobles. I can get my book in Japan, right? And here you, again, I was ignorant. So I was impressed. I was like, my book can be in Japan. You know what? I'm no longer Genesis. I'm international. So then we go here we go, international bestseller. Here goes these titles, and this is not the shame. I want to have a business conversation. This is a masterclass. If you came for a short video, this is not it. This is a class. And so as your teacher, I want to tell you from a business perspective, no one cares. I know you want to have this sense of importance in establishment, right? But here's the truth. You should care more about getting the most bang for your buck and keeping as much profit as possible, because there's no way you can grow your business off of royalty checks, especially when nobody knows you. When you have listen, I have an audience. I have almost 13,000 subscribers on YouTube. I got, a little 27,000, or something like that on Instagram. But it's not like the world knows me. It's not like people in Japan are like, oh my gosh, it's Genesis Dorsey. Oh my God. Like, I haven't built that type of visibility. So my book being on Barnes and Noble, okay, is not like and it's not like my book is on the shelf. And even if my book was on the shelf, okay, are people running to get the book? Let me tell you what I learned and what I teach my clients. Build your own platform. Before I give you these vendors, please do not depend upon these vendors as if they're going to be the way you're going to become a millionaire. No, they're not. They're not. Because your main goal, okay, to really play this game is to eventually buy in bulk and sell yourself. So even though you're going the print-on-demand route, right, you're going on eventually you want to buy these products in bulk and sell them from your own store. Okay, and not depend upon Amazon.com through KDP. It's different if you depend upon Amazon through FBA, because you're not, you make your money directly. You're not just getting a royalty check, right? So it's very important you have this mentality. I know that was a lot of tea, and it was a lot. It was like a gallon of it. But I want you to understand that, because do not get tricked into the distribution system. Okay, because what happens is you have to give more percentage of the profits away. Okay, and no one's falling for the okie doke. Okay, I know I have a little bit of some slang terms, but we're not falling for that. Okay, you want to make as much money, so buy your products in bulk as best as possible. I don't care if you can only afford 10, buy 10 and sell the 10. Okay, but do not say, oh, my book is on Amazon. No. And if you notice with mine, I know some of you guys notice. But what I'll do is I will boost the price on Amazon to some price that no one would ever pay. And on my website, it's the regular price. Because if you're going to make money off of me, okay, you're going to really pay a price. Okay? Because I refuse. Now I'm using Amazon to print, but I refuse. I refuse. You will not do that to me. So I don't even promote that my stuff is on Amazon. You can find it and you can go get it there. But I am building my platform off of my social media so that I can keep the bulk of my profits. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's keep on going. Let's go through. Now, here's the thing. If you're doing low content, it's different. And I want to explain that. If you're selling low content journals and planners where there's no intellectual property in the inside, it's not really detailed, and you're really selling it for like the look, the look of, because women buy pretty planners and journals whether or not it has custom in it or not. But it's not like you put a ton of work or intellectual property where you were like mapping out the layouts and now some of you guys were, so I'm not going to knock that. But what I'm saying though is that if you're someone who put a ton of intellectual property into your product, don't you dare go that route. Because it just cheapens the value of what you've done. Okay, so let's talk about Amazon KDP, formerly known as CreateSpace. Okay, you guys ask me all the time on YouTube, Genesis, it's no longer CreateSpace. CreateSpace doesn't exist. And I'm trying to tell y'all, CreateSpace does exist. The name changed. It's called Amazon KDP now. Okay, so it's called Amazon KDP because they merged the Amazon Kindle side, the Kindle publishing, with CreateSpace. So now it's called Amazon KDP, where you can publish both Kindle and books. Okay. And again, Amazon KDP is your cheapest route. It'll be your most cost-effective option. But the con of Amazon KDP is that, number one, it's very limited what they offer. Now, they just started to offer hardback. And my client, I just had a client use the hardback version, and it takes forever to get there, but it gets there. The quality is actually pretty good, but it just takes a very long time for you to receive samples and for you to receive their order. Maybe they're just working out the kinks right now. Also, too, it is a higher cost. Of course, it is paperback. I'm sorry, it is hardback. But that's about it. They don't offer a ton of, there's no additional features like ribbon or gold foil. You know, it's hardback or paperback, okay? They do offer a large plethora of sizes, which I really, really like. I really love that. So that to me is a huge option. It's just that when you use Amazon KDP, it automatically lists your book on Amazon.com and, you know, the other places. Of course, they, you know, you have to select expanded distribution, but it does automatically place your product on Amazon.com. That's the exchange. So you get to print for cheap, and in exchange, the product goes on Amazon. Okay, so that is definitely there. The second option is going to be Ingram Spark. Ingram Spark, now of course with Amazon doesn't charge you to print. You just simply pay the unit cost to have it done plus shipping. Ingram Spark is a self-publishing company as well that does charge you per title. So per product you print with them, there is a fee to use them for the service, okay? Ingram Spark does offer not as many options as some other ones, but what I do like is that you can do a textured product. So if you, let's say you want to do like a linen cover, they have those options. They do also offer some gold foil and a couple other options that you can use through customer service and inquire about. So I do like them in that regards. They're pretty much around the same price point as their other competitors. So the price isn't too sky high. It's just that there is an additional fee. They actually charge you to use it. But again, the cost sometimes works out to be cheaper depending upon what you're printing, okay? Lulu is another self-publishing platform. I had a client who was with us on this live stream. She has used Lulu. We also had problems with Lulu. There were some printing problems with Lulu where she received her inventory, and I'm talking about the things were cut off to the side. It was like the way it was printed, like the pages weren't lined up, and we sent them the right files. Now we did have to change a little bit of the file, but what she received was not because of the file. They literally had printed it odd. I mean, it was just like the weirdest thing. And so, you know, she, of course, the customer service though wasn't bad. There was a dedicated person that helped in making sure that we got the right, you know, the right inventory for her. The other thing I like about Lulu is that they offer discounts throughout the year. So like every year they'll have like a 30% off sale, a 10% off sale, a 20% off sale. That you will not see that on Amazon KDP. You will not see that on Ingram Spark, but Lulu does have it. I also like Lulu because they offer a Shopify integration. So if you have a Shopify store, they actually have a drop shipping option. Now, when I say drop shipping, this is not necessarily the drop shipping model. It's the way it's being shipped, where it's shipped on your behalf, but it never comes to your house. In other words, when they come through the Shopify store and they place the order, Lulu makes it and ships it. Okay? So that's something I do like, that Amazon KDP, you can kind of get around and doing it through, like, you know, ordering an author copy and then at the checkout putting your customer address in there, but that's just too tedious. So, you know, I really recommend using, you know, if you want to have some kind of idea where, you know, you are not shipping it yourself and you want kind of that idea, Lulu probably would be a great option for you, but they require an ISBN. Okay, so if you ever want to use them to ship directly to the customer, you actually have to sign up through their publishing process, and you have to have an ISBN. So as long as you're good with that, then you can use them, and you can use their options for fulfillment. But you can also order in bulk. All of the ones I'm listing, you can order in bulk and sell through your own platform. Then there's Blurb. I first started out with Blurb. My very first book I ever wrote, I think it was a Faith in Glass Slippers, was printed through Blurb. And Blurb is okay. Blurb is expensive for no reason. For me, I like Blurb if you're doing books, a basic book, black and white, or if you're doing like a magazine, something like that. I do not recommend them for planners and journals. I just don't like them. The price point to me is just atrocious. Now they have discounts and sales, I get that, but I just don't, I know I sound like a hater. I just don't like them. I just don't like them as a platform. And the reason why is because, number one, they're very limited in options. So they really are a book publisher. They do not offer Spiral, anything like that. I mean, Amazon doesn't offer Spiral, but at least Amazon is cost efficient. Blurb is expensive for no reason. So I really don't like them. However, they do have some options that can help you in designing your journal or planner. I mean, they have some cool options and resources, but it's just too expensive in my opinion. I also don't recommend, has anyone heard, and I pray people are not watching this video, that they have used them or the company themselves, Book Baby. Anyone heard of 48-hour book? Anyone or heard of those kind of, like if you typed in, print, book printing, maybe these platforms have come up as resources for you to print your book. They are for books. To me, these are for books. And if you have ever used their quote page to see how much these books cost, I put in just to get a quote for 25 books. Okay, for 25 books, and a planner journal, but 25, and it was only 150 pages, black and white. It was like $8.95. What? For only 25, and apparently if you order more, the price goes down. But to me, that's more of a bulk ordering platform where like you need to order a certain amount for even the price point to be even worthy of you clicking the button and buying. Okay, now I want to talk about quality assurance with these platforms. So Amazon KDP has a proofing system where it will go through your PDF, and this is something I really like about Amazon. I really like. They are like the logistics experts, software, they own cloud, and they have the AWS, but Amazon has a great proofing system where they will literally not allow you to go to sample until their system checks for bleed, margins, nothing getting cut off. I really appreciate that. So that's the one thing I really love about Amazon KDP. They really do check. They have like a digital software system. And even if they approve it, sometimes they'll come back like 48 hours later and be like, you know what? It's actually some errors on this page. I like that. We're going to talk about Vervante last. Ingram Spark also has a proofing process as well, which I like as well. It's not like Amazon, but it's really good. So I like them. Lulu, what they do is you will upload your file and they kind of do a basic kind of scan, but I like them because what they'll do is they'll reach out to you via email if like there are some major errors, and they will let you know. But I still like Amazon. It's a lot more automated. Blurb also has a proofing system as well. So all of these platforms, because they're more like software systems, they do have a proofing process, but it's not like, for instance, Vervante. Now we're going to talk about Vervante because there's some pros and cons, which we're going to discuss. Vervante is a small business located in the Midwest, and they are the best option if you want to work with someone directly, like you want to work with a human being with this project. But with Vervante, they are also expensive because they are a small business. They are not a Lulu. They are not an Amazon KDP. They're not a software like major company where, you are going to like click, easily upload and then go to the next step. No. But Vervante does offer options that can work. It's just that, with them, you're going to pay a lot more. It's just some things. But I like Vervante because you can actually get your dream project done in the United States. It's just going to cost you more. So you can do tabs, you can do spiral. It won't be metal, it'll be like the wire O, but you can definitely get that done through Vervante. Vervante has a lot of customization options because they're not a click, upload file, select your options. You actually get a custom quote from them. You work with them directly, okay? But as some of you guys know who've worked with them, they are expensive. So your planner and journal is not going to be, $5 or $3 or $5. It's probably going to be starting at $10. Most planners and journals are going to be between $17 to $20 just to get it printed. And to order a sample, it's going to be like $100 and something for the sample. So usually it's going to be about $150 for a sample. Especially for a planner, and that does not include your order. That's just for you to get a sample. Okay, so those are things that are important when it comes with your project, and that's something that you actually have to keep in mind. Now, of course, with all of these platforms, none of them have 100% reviews. Okay, and that's just going into this because it's print on demand. Okay, it's print on demand. When you go overseas, it's a lot different. Or you work with a larger manufacturing company, it's a lot different. But when you go print on demand, you get what you pay for. I have to say this again. You get what you pay for. Okay, because again, you're not ordering a ton, so there are pros and cons with this. And some people say, well, Genesis, I go on Lulu and it's not, great. I'm not seeing 100%, 5 out of 5. I go to Amazon KDP, I'm not seeing 5 out of 5. You can go onto YouTube right now and find a video that loves the platform, whether it's for Vante, Ingram Spark, Amazon, KDP, Lulu, and you're gonna find videos that are horror stories. And they're like, they messed up my order. You're gonna find that with every platform you see. Okay, so that's why I recommend ordering in small batches, right? Things like that. Kind of building up that quality assurance with your products is another reason why I don't like doing drop shipping as much. I like to go through all the products, make sure everything is good before we send them out. Okay, so those are again options in my opinion for print on demand, custom cover, custom interior. Okay. Now, outside of that, you may find other ones. Matter of fact, another place to look is your country's printers. So just like I talked about before, I'm not talking about FedEx or, Office Depot or Staples to print your planner and journal. That should never be an option. But you could find what's called binderies, bindery, binderies, or finding a book printer in your area. And they also have the ability to do custom book printing. They have all the options. A lot of them will have the spiral. They have all that because they're actually like book binding places. So they actually make the books and planners and things like that. And so that is also a great option to find. It's just that it usually will not, again, be as cost effective. So if you're trying to save a ton of money, just know going that route, you're not going to be getting the $3 to $4 unit cost. Okay. But those are options. And then last but not least is overseas. Again, we're going to save that for another video. But if those, for those of you like, Genesis, what about overseas? Overseas, again, you're looking at usually between 200 to 300 units minimum. Most of them will require, 500 if the interior is like super custom. So like where, every page is like custom designed by your team or their team. That's usually going to be about 500 units. And you're going to need at least $3,000 to $4,000 for the units alone. And just think about it. If you have to order at least 500 units and the unit cost ends up being $5, that's $2,500 alone for the units. And that does not include shipping, anything like that. And again, that's not to scare anyone off because, I have clients who have that. But then I also have clients who are like, I'm not ordering 500 units, right? Like we're going to start off small, we're going to grow. And not because you may not have the money, but because you want to first test the product. You want to first see, will this product take off? You care about some other things first. And so that's where, again, that would definitely be more beneficial. Okay. Yes. And so exactly. So Vervante, again, they've gotten expensive, but they do fulfillment. So that again is a benefit, right? Vervante offers fulfillment. They will actually ship the product on your behalf. But with certain products, you do have to purchase at least a small amount in bulk. Some other ones you don't, but a good amount you do have to purchase in bulk, and then they will do the fulfillment for you. But again, that stuff is not free. There's nothing free, okay? So that's going to be important. Okay, the last step. Woo, we're getting there. Definitely a masterclass. The last step is once you have combed through all of this information, okay? Number one, do not reach out to every platform to get a quote. Please don't do that. Based upon the information I've given you, do your research. And then once you've kind of figured out, and again, most of these platforms, they have quote calculators. Amazon KDP is not the best at that. That's the one thing I do not like. With Amazon KDP, you really won't know your exact price until you've uploaded the book, gone through all the steps, then they tell you the price. But I will tell you, it will be the cheapest route. but they just don't tell you the custom price when you first get started. That's one thing I don't like. But when it comes to the other ones, there are quote pages where you can easily go in, kind of give them, what you're looking for, how many units, some of your options, and they'll give you kind of a generic quote, which I like. One of the things is that, again, try to pick 2 to 3 that you want to get quotes from. Number 2, be sure to use the planning document. Okay, be sure to use the planning document that we covered in the first video that we had last week. There is a free planning document that actually is in Word doc form that you can download. I recommend putting all your research notes in your planning document just so that it's in one place, okay? And then last but not least, understand again that there is not one platform that's perfect. You're going to find bad and good reviews for all the platforms, but this is why you do samples. You never go and purchase a full bulk order without ordering a sample. Okay, so you order your samples first, see if you like the product, and then you're going to go to full bulk order. Okay, the third thing is that make sure you take your time. You should not rush the process. I've seen people where they look at the product like, I'm gonna go order my full bulk order. Never order the sample. Never prepare for pre-orders. Take your time. Okay, and again, quality assurance of your products is so important. So even when you order your full bulk order, go through all the products. Okay, because you want to make sure there's nothing wrong with any of them. There are no defects. Defects are real in printing, especially with print on demand, because they're just using these machines just to bulk print your product. And let's say there's a streak in one of them, again, these are realistic things. And then last but not least, even though you want to take your time to execute, don't sit on your idea. I have so many clients, coaching clients, who have come to me, and I've sat down on Zoom and we've, where they'll book me for a coaching session, and I'll sit down. The first question, so tell me about your project. And they're like, I've been sitting on this idea for more than 10 years. And that's realistic. I've been sitting on this idea for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. So please don't become that person that is in that perfection syndrome, because again, guys, your first product will be your worst product. So get over it. Okay, get it out there. Make sure it's good enough to sell, that it's visually appeasing, and that people, will fall in love with it. But other than that, know that you will evolve. And if you are scared to get started, then you're scared of money. You are scared to launch a business. You are scared to experience a life of options. And I want you to get over that fear. And the best place is just to start. Okay. The other option, the last thing is that if you're going to be ordering bulk orders, make sure that you're realistic in how much you order. So, sometimes it's better to order just 50 versus 100, and especially if you're not doing a pre-order strategy. If you're going to be doing a pre-order strategy, then you will know how many units at least to order based upon how many have already ordered. But if you are not doing pre-orders and you're just going to be launching, order an amount that you can sell. Not an amount they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get focused, I'm gonna really do this, and I'm gonna really get out there. And then 3 weeks later, you're just like, No, you need to know what amount can you truly sell. Okay, so that concludes our masterclass. It is now time for questions. So if you have any questions, I know we covered a lot. Again, this video is meant to be, I don't know why it's dark in here. Let me turn on the lights. I guess I was using natural light, guys. Give me 1 second. Okie dokie, so that we get some light in here. The natural light went down, but I hope that, first of all, let me know in the comments, especially in the live, if you're watching the replay, did this help you guys? Do you feel like I've given you enough kind of foundational information to where, if from a outsider glance, if you never knew anything about planners and journals and printing, that this video gave you the beginning information and knowledge to really get started and to really understand, how do I go about printing? How, what are the options? I just feel like, I just want to know from you guys if this did what I thought it did. Did I understand the assignment? Let me know if I understood the assignment. And again, everything that I presented is, I typed up all the information as an article. So again, if you want all of my notes that I was teaching from in today's masterclass, they are all in the description box. Okay. You can click the link to the blog article, and that will again give you the information. You can go right here to glamprintgo.com/blog. And you can go to the article and you can print out the article, and it has all the information. Again, I'm trying to show up with with fire in 2022. Okay, so now let's get into Q&A. Okay, you can hop off of this video if you don't have any questions, and you got things to do, but we are going to hang out for a little bit because I definitely want to answer questions. And I saw, there's some questions in here, so let me start going through the information because there were some at the beginning. There were some that I saw as they came in. So Pat said, yes, I had to upload my journals 3 times to get the right size, and each time was about $35 each just to get started. That was $105, and that was just to get a sample. Yes, and it is important to note that when you, again, I'm going to do a separate video on design, but that's why, you research the printers to know what their specs are for you to upload the artwork, the interior, the cover. That part is really important. Are you going to touch on collections and go about that? Yes, so that's going to be a different video where we're going to talk about diversifying and growing your business. Okay, so this year I have 2 new courses coming out that are going to really, I don't want to spill the beans, but guys, we have some amazing new products come out this year. The first is going to be a monetize your knowledge, basically, course, where I'm going to cover how to launch courses, webinars, coaching programs based upon your niche. For those of you who, are experts in your arena, and let's say you did a planner or journal about your expertise, and now you're looking for different ways to monetize, that type of business or industry. And so that's going to be something that we're going to talk about. And collections are going to be a YouTube video that we will cover, that will discuss, okay, I did one. Now, how do I kind of build out, a multiple versions of one, right? How do I go about releasing? When do I release? Do I release them all at one time? The short answer is no. So we'll talk about how to build up a collection, if collections, are your best strategy, or if you should do different types of versions. So we will discuss that. And if you have any particular questions about collections, then go to glamprintgo.com. Okay, I'm going to put up the link. Go to glamprintgo.com / and I want to say it's questions. I want to make sure I got it right. Okay, glamprintgo.com / questions. I believe that is our YouTube. Yep, it is. So go to glamprintgo.com / questions if you want to submit questions directly for the YouTube channel. I also read the comments, so the comments are fine as well. Just make sure you put them in the actual comment section and not just the live chat, just so that I can make sure I've gotten that information, okay? Okie dokie, let's keep on going through. Could I start off with KDP? Well, you could, but I would definitely look at some of the options that we have discussed. I start with KDP. All of my books and my prayer journals have been through Amazon KDP. They have been the most cost effective. And so I'm a huge fan. I'm just not a fan of the royalty check. So I don't depend upon Amazon.com as my main way of collecting sales. I instead believe in launching your own. So like, for instance, on genesisdorsey.com, that's where my books are. And you order through there, and then I will send you, I have physical copies, right? So to me, that's a better way of profiting versus collecting royalty checks. And people still order through Amazon, but it's not a ton, and maybe like a few sales, because I'm not really big on royalties. Excuse me. Until a book publisher comes to you, gives you an advance for thousands of dollars, then I'll do royalties, because I'm working with someone who has major distribution, and they're going to be working in my marketing. There's a difference between, for instance, if you're a bestseller, and your books are in Walmart, your books are in the mall, your books are in on the major tables in Barnes and Nobles, right? Those are people who have distribution deals. They have, they're working with book publishers, Penguin and Thomas Smith, like all these well-known platforms to get their books done. You know what I mean? So that's the difference. That's the only time I will ever do royalties. Where you pay me in advance, you give me a check. What do you think about digital planners? I like the concept. And there are people who are making money selling digital planners. I think that if you go about that, do as much research that you can really make money off of it. I know that there are, packs like Good Notes and different things. To be honest, I think that if you do that route, number one, research that as much information, look at competitors in the market to look at what they're offering and how they're monetizing. So whether they're creating the layouts, whether they're designing, the digital stickers, but it's definitely there. Now, are they making a killing? No, but they are making some money. But you know who's really making the money? The people who create the software for it. So GoodNotes. So if I, to be honest, from my business mind, if I was going to get into digital planners, I would be thinking about how to create some software. But that's a whole nother conversation, because I just know that with digital products, you can't charge, a huge amount of money, so then you're looking at it from a volume play where your goal is to get as many customers who would buy it at a certain level, because, it's rare you see a digital planner being sold for $60, $50, 40, it's gonna be rare, because it's not a physical entity. It's a digital file that you download. So again, if that's going to be your business play, then you would need to focus on building an audience. You would probably focused on having to have different types of planner layouts and maybe different types of digital stickers so that you could get recurring sales from customers. So there's just a few things to think about, but I'm not against digital planners at all. Okay, I just think you just have to study the market. I won't be teaching on it because I'm not an expert in it. I know what I'm not an expert at is definitely I've never entered into that market. So I definitely cannot teach. So I would definitely find maybe some experts here on YouTube or on different platforms who can, give you the knowledge on that. Okay. Do we copyright the interior of the planner? Yes. So your copyright is going to be first for the actual content inside. Okay. Now you can copyright the design of the layout itself as well. That's when you need to talk to an intellectual property lawyer, because I know that one of my clients, Renee, went through the discussion of the design, and that is a lot more expensive than the content. Okay, so at the core, copyright the content, and it's also important to note that whoever has designed the planner and journal technically owns the copyright. So make sure that whoever is designing the planner journal for you, if you're using someone externally, that they have signed a work for hire agreement and that you will own the copyright once the work is completed. That's important because you cannot own what is not yours. So just make sure that that is understood so that when you file the copyright, you are the rightful owner who's filing the copyright. Okay. Yes, I'll leave this up. I no longer design interiors. That is the analogy. So I used to, as of last year I did, but as of this year, I'm only designing for the clients that we've had in the past and the ones who signed in 2020, the end of 2021. But as of 2022, this year, I no longer design now. I actually outsource and I work with designers to design it. I am focusing a lot more moving forward on the consulting because again, I have found that me designing projects hold up the projects because I'm trying to design them all. And it's also created bad business for me because when you take on too much that you can chew, the process lags. And listen, I'm a brag. I'm a great designer. But when I took on too much, I wasn't able to get as much done. And so now with me outsourcing the design, it will allow me, number one, to take on more clients. It will allow me to support great planner and journal designers. So if you know anyone who's a planner and journal designer who can design at my level or more, hey, I'm trying to find people better than me, please send them to hello@glamprintgo or glamprintgo@gmail or glamprintgo.com. I'm trying to give them some money. Okay. I got money, y'all. I got some money. So, if you're trying to get paid and you're trying to get more clientele for your planner and journal design business, I have the clients. I got clients out the wazoo. Now it's just me trying to find more and more great planner and journal designers who I can have my clients work with. Okay. So what I offer now is I offer a consulting service where I work with you from ideation. I oversee the design. I work with the designer directly. I oversee your manufacturing process, and then I oversee and I work with you to build out your marketing plan. That is the full-fledged service as of 2022 now. So I no longer offer design, and I also now offer a coaching service where if you don't need that full-fledged service, you can invest now in coaching where, I'll do one session, I'll do 2 sessions, and now I also offer a VIP experience where I'll sit down with you for 3 hours, and that's going to be for those of you who who are building out the business of it. And so I offer now that experience to build out the business, how to, we're going to framework your business, look at your product suite, really get you in that framework of starting. And so you can learn all that information on my website. Again, you can go to glamprintgo.com and you can, search the website and learn more information about all of those options. Okay. Let's continue through the questions. I see. Does Lulu review the product? We talked about that. What about having color in your journal? Is the price about the same? No, it's not. No. The price is not the same whatsoever. So I recommend that your first product be focused on black and white as much as possible. This is how we keep the project cost effective. We talk about this in previous videos, but you want your interior to be as much as it can black and white to save the money. Okay. And there are, though, I will say this, I did a client recently, Nichelle, and she'll be coming on the channel soon. We did 2 journals with hers. We did 2 journals. We did a spiritual journey journal, and we did a your first year of marriage journal. And both of them were full color. Both of them were around or less. One was less than 100 pages. One was like 107. Both were full color, and both of her products were under, I want to say they were under 6. The print on the spiritual journal was paperback. That one was like $4 and something cents, I believe. And then the hardback, of course, was higher. But yes, color is a lot more expensive. Not too much, but depending upon how many pages you have, that's why we kept the page count low. If you're going to do full color, keep that page count like below 150. Definitely, you should not be going over $6, in my opinion, with paperback. And so, yeah, there's definitely that. Okay. Do you have a video on collections? Not yet. What are the resources to hire proofreaders? We're gonna save that for another video, because that's something we're also going to talk about, because I'm going to invite the editor that we have on our team for my clients who have done more of like almost like book kind of planners and journals where it had a lot of information. And so I definitely recommend working with an editor. Okay. And so not just a proofreader that, you can have anything proofread, but you want to actually work with an editor. And there's different types of editing. I'm not the expert, so I'm going to bring the experts on who can talk to you about the different types of editing, because you have people who can read for grammatical errors, but then you also want to have people read for verbiage and tense and tone. And especially if you have a good amount of content. Some of you guys are doing like guide-based planners and journals. So there's like introductory content, and there's content throughout the product, and maybe you have a ton of questions or prompts, and you just want to make sure not just is it proofread, but does this actually make sense when I'm saying it that way? And so that's where you would need to work with an editor. You have editors who will charge you per page or per word, but definitely put that in the budget if you have a meaty content-based planner and journal, and you just want to make sure you don't look like an idiot out here in the streets. Like, I think she meant to say goals, but it says gold, like something like that. You definitely want to check for that. Let's see. Do you discuss things like pairing objects with your journal, like mugs and affirmation cards? So one of the very first videos I did like years ago, I talked about, that's actually, one of the videos that drew a lot of people, which was the t-shirt and mug business. And that's when I was just getting into print on demand, learning about it, teaching people about it. And, I'm all for pairing. I'm all for adding additional streams. For me, though, it's all about, profit. If you add a product, can you really make some money from it? And if you can, then do it. Again, going back to how will you source the products? Are you going to print them yourself? Are you going to get the cards printed yourself and sell them yourself? Or are you going to find a drop shipper or a reseller where you can find corresponding products to sell and you can get a good amount of profit per sale? So I'm all for accompanying. Oh my God, when you look at many planner and journal companies, you're going to see at least accessories for their planners and journals, from pins to stickers to, maybe t-shirts or mugs. So definitely diversifying. But I will definitely say that one of the rules of thumb with these businesses that have been successful is that they did not add accessories until their first product took off. I look at, for instance, like the Passion Planner. I look at the Happy Planner. They didn't launch with all of these other added products. They first made sure that they had that main product or version of that product really built out. They had built out a clientele base so that as they added additional products that didn't have as best of margins as the planner or journal, that they were at least getting a healthy amount of sales for those products, right? And I think for me, it would all be about learning how to build up your marketing strategies with these products. Work with your planner and journal. Learn the secret sauce to marketing that product. And once you get that secret sauce and you learn how to build your audience and you learn the secrets to getting people to, join the email list or join the text list or, how to get them to convert and buy the product, then you can start to add supporting things that won't become a distraction to the main thing. You want to have your business be known for the main thing, and then they can buy additional things. But if you're just starting off and, you haven't made that main thing boom yet, then actually adding additional products can distract the main sale. And what will end up happening is that you have people running to buy the affirmation cards and the t-shirts, and those don't have as best of the margins as your planner and journal that you put all that money into. Does that make sense? So that's, to me, and I hope you can understand my mind. I'm always thinking about, making sure I'm building the business, the foundation first, right? And then I'm adding supporting things. Hopefully, I know it was wordy, but I like people to understand how I think. Have you spoken about how you transition from Amazon to your business? I did a little bit. If you go through the how to start your prayer journal business, which is kind of long, but I talk about how, when I first got started and like what I used, and eventually I talk about the author copies, and I still use Amazon. But what I do is I order author copies. I do not promote people to go buy it through Amazon.com. Instead, I buy the author copies and I sell through my own platform. So like all of my books through GenesisDorsey.com, those books are on Amazon, but I do not say, oh yeah, my book's on Amazon. No, I tell people go buy the book on GenesisDorsey.com. So I still use Amazon, but I do the author copy version, which you can learn more about if you search through the Amazon KDP information. So I will talk about it more. If you guys want, a video on author copies and Amazon, I'll do it. Just let me know, okay? If I want to upload a journal series, 4 journals, 1 for each quarter, should I create them all, then submit to KDP, or is it okay to upload them at different times? The first one is complete so far. That's a great question. I think it depends upon your marketing. That's really what it depends on. So if they're to be sold as a bundle, where, after quarter 1, everyone needs to be ordering the next one, then I would launch them all at once, or at least the first 2, because you think about it, if it's per quarter, we're already in quarter 1. So by the time February hits, people may want to order quarter 2, right? So if anything, maybe you can link them back to back. Or all at once. It's up to you how you want to do it. And it's also up to you by how ready you are for the marketing of each one, because it's how you sell it. But personally, I would, and it's also about how you want to do it. If you want to get them all done first and then do it, great. But if you've already launched the first one, you need to go out and launch the second one by February. Okay. So it's just about how you want to do it. It's not really about how I would suggest. It's really about what is going to be the best way for you based upon, can you get all of them completed as soon as possible? How close are you to the second one? Is that one near completion? And then 2, how are you going to market them? So making sure that you're marketing the products as how each one connects to the other. Got it? So make sure that you're marketing on how, hey guys, we've released our quarter 2 version. And it may not be actually called the quarter 2 version, but again, here is our next version or our next edition. And you need to be marketing that actually now. So you just released January's or the first quarter version. You need to start, once February hits, you need to start talking about the next one that's coming out so they can order. So that's the thing about your marketing timing, making sure you have that together. Okay. When the pandemic allows, do you anticipate having live events? Yes. So I really want to do some kind of like an annual gathering for print school. And it kind of be really focused on and really what I don't really want to even do an event or a conference, because I feel like you can go anywhere else and get marketing advice and like how to grow your business. Everyone's on business credit. Everybody talking about that. You can go somewhere else to get that. I would love to do events focused on people getting them done. So you come and you come for like 3 days and you lock in. And by the time you leave, you have your interior framework done. You have your brand. And I would love to bring in maybe some brand experts so that when you leave, you have your color palette together. You have your interior. Maybe we can have some editors that come in. They can comb through your content. I'm more focused. I think that my specialty, when I'm learning, the more and more I'm in this business, is I'm an expert at frameworks. I'm not the expert at, just everything where I teach you all the concepts. I'm an expert at the framework. I am good at giving you how this is how it should look. This needs to go here. This needs to go there. This needs to go there. That needs to go. So when it comes to the planner journal business, that's why I'm a consultant, because I'm great at, you give me your jumbled up mess idea. Okay, of what you're thinking about doing. And as the more and more we work together, okay, I'm hearing, okay, that needs to go there. Okay, I'm here, okay, that needs to go there. Okay, nope, that doesn't need to happen. So I want to do more framework events where we're focused on execution and we're focused on you moving to the next step. So I definitely want to do events, but I don't want to do them where they're kind of basic on like the same topics everybody's doing, if that makes sense. Do you discuss how long the process takes from start to finish, including the outline of the journal? Yeah. So how many of you guys are enrolled in LOAB? Anyone enrolled in LOAB? LOAB is launched on a budget. And that is that's my course where I really discuss the process in depth. And if you have put on the budget workbook, then we talk about the basics, which is the 6-month plan. But when you get into launch on the budget, the course, okay, if you work through that course, it's going to take you about 6 months. Now, you can go faster. If you work faster, then you work faster. But if you go through launch on a budget, it's going to take you at least about 3 months to really get through it. And that's especially, and the reason why it takes you so long, I'm going to tell you why it would take you that long, is if you don't have an audience built up. This is the course, launch on a budget. If you don't have an audience, you will not be able to launch in 4 weeks correctly. Now, you will be able to launch, as in to drop the product, tell people to go buy it, but don't expect to have, a business success. Let me put in my laptop, because of the fact that, you did not, hold on guys, put in my charger. Hold on guys, put this charger in. Okay. Because you didn't warm your audience, you don't have an email list that's primed for pre-orders. I don't care about you guys just creating products. You gotta sell. So for me, 6 months is healthy. Because, if you think about it, the best sellers of like the best books, the best journals, the best planners, they are not dropping planners and journals in 4 weeks. So if they're not dropping it in 4 weeks, if they're not dropping it in 2 months, why are you dropping it in 2 weeks? Why are you dropping it in 4 weeks? Why are you dropping it in 2 months? Right? Has your audience, if I asked you how many people are ready to buy this product, right? You've marketed, you've primed it to them. They know how much it costs. They've got their money together. And you have at least, let's just say 50 to 100 people ready for this product, right? Maybe you only have 30, but could you tell me that you have a list of people with their first name, last name, email address, and they have told you that they are ready for this product? If not, you are teaching yourself. Okay, you're teaching yourself how to create things, but not being responsible for the selling of them. It's not good enough to just be a genius or a creative if no one can correctly experience whatever it is that's coming out of you, right? And so we're not just passionate, but we also want to teach people on how to really go through the process. So to me, 6 months is healthy. And it's going to slow you down too to think like a business versus just launching stuff, okay? For KDP, can I do selected pages to be in color? No, you can't. The only platform that allows you to do selected pages is Vervante, and there's one more. I think it's actually just Vervante, because Lulu doesn't allow it. KDP doesn't allow it. And Spark doesn't allow it. Yeah, that's it. As far as the print-on-demand options we discussed. Okay, so no, but if you work with a custom printer like Vervante or other ones overseas, they actually charge you by the amount of color pages, by the amount of black and white. Okay, but that's like a custom feature. Okay, Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure if KDP prefers series to come together. So yeah, so on Amazon KDP, because they are a self-publishing platform, right? You can select books to be in series. That feature is important for when people are coming across you on Amazon and they want to see if there's a product that connects to another. Because remember, KDP is technically a book platform. So when most people write books, if they write a series, right, they'll list the books next to each other. So that is important if you're creating a collection or see. That's actually how that works. So if you create a collection and you do it on Amazon, it's best to actually have them be connected as a series. So that is where that would be important. But that is only important if you will be promoting Amazon as your main way of marketing and collecting sales. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Okay? Yes, I'm all about execution-based event. Okay, do you do coaching calls? I do. If you would like to learn more, I actually have a few this week. If you would like to learn more about coaching, you can go to glamprintgo.com/coaching. Coaching is going to be for those of you where you don't need me to work with you through every step of the process, right? You may need me to work with you when it comes to your marketing launch or you growing your audience and you're just like, Genesis. Or you may need me to work with you when it comes to, like, maybe you have some design questions, and maybe for actually the coaching calls I have this week, they're with people who, when it comes to the design process, they're like, Genesis, I did something in Word and then my margins and then my bleed and I don't know what I'm doing. So there's that too. You know, maybe you just need help in a few areas. Then there's the option for those of you who your problem is for your business, you haven't really made it a business, right? So you need me to sit down with you and you need me to comb through the framing of the business. Like, what does it look like? Your products, the pricing, how you're going to build your audience, like kind of like the beginning aspects of it. That's going to be the VIP experience. And that is for those, again, people who need that frameworking. Like, you launched, but you didn't know what you were doing. And I've already booked actually 2 of those. And they're definitely, on the higher end, but it's for those who are going into business. So this is not like a hobby expense. Like, you really are about to do this either full time or as a really true side hustle. So that is where that level of investment would be necessary, because you're about to transition to like a whole new mindset. So you're like, Genesis, okay, we need to get the social media marketing together. We got to get these email campaigns. I need to get the whole framework. That's what that does. Okay. So guys, we have gone into almost 2 hours of discussion. But this was a masterclass, and this was almost like it was a Zoom, like almost like you guys enrolled in a class on Zoom, paid for it, got your seat, and we were just sitting and talking, right? And you learning. But I just want to thank everybody. I know, again, this was a long video. But I just want to thank everybody, because you are helping people who may not have any knowledge or may have little bits or maybe know some pieces about planners and journals when it comes to printing on a budget. But they've been lost, right? They've been lost on how that works. And so you guys, your comments, this is why it's so important. When you guys comment, when you guys share your thoughts, matter of fact, when you guys share your experience, right? When you guys share your experience, it actually helps people, right, to get insight, to hear other experiences. So this is why I love the engagement. Again, if you're watching the replay, be sure to comment, be sure to share your insight. I want to hear from you. I want to know what your thoughts are, okay? How do you prime? Do you show bits and pieces of what I'm working on and then launch? How do prime? Do you mean how do you get your product to show up on Prime? Technically, if you use Amazon KDP as your self-publisher, your products, if someone buys it on Amazon, and actually most of them will actually be listed as a Prime product. If you use Amazon FBA and you are using them as a fulfillment platform and you want your product to be listed as Prime, that is actually something that you would do as a part of their process, because that has to be approved. Your product actually has to be approved as a Prime product. You have to go through a whole process. So if you're using Amazon FBA, you have to go through the process. Okay. But if you use Amazon KDP and you're using their self-publishing platform, it will be listed as a Prime product most of the time. Do you show bits and pieces of what I'm working on and then launch? Learn, hair, and do. Let me know what you mean by that second question, because I don't know what that means. So just ask me and I'll answer it before we leave. Isn't it set up so that when you go to upload your book, it asks you if it's a part of a series? Exactly. That's what I was talking about. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So when you go to, the first, the process, right? So you know how when you go in an Amazon KDP and it asks you, is this a part of a series? And it actually asks you, that's where you would input that information. Okay, so it'll ask you like, is it a volume? And like ask those specific questions on that page. It's like the first page. That's the page. The first or second, but I think it's the first page where you put in your keywords and all that, and the author information. That's where you're gonna put the series information. Okay, but you don't have to upload them at the same time, because remember, it's a book platform. So if someone was publishing, let's just say their next book, and it was a part of a series, you just simply connect it and you just put in the same information. It will connect it. Does that make sense? And if you have any questions, I would just Google KDP series, and they definitely have information on how you can link it as a series. But yes, that is it. On page 1, that is where you input the information. You can put them in one at a time. Okay. Woo! We're done. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I will see you guys by next Tuesday. So our upload goal is by every Tuesday we have a new video. Okay? Next week's video is going to be on overseas, because again, we covered print on demand today, but the next conversation will be about overseas. How does overseas work? What happens when you work with Alibaba, when you work with the MCLR? There's a company called MCLR based in Canada, which technically though is a Chinese-based manufacturer, but they just have a northern storefront, right? But we're going to talk about these different vendors. How do you source your Alibaba vendors? And not just for planners and journals, but it could be for your boxes, for your affirmation cards, for anything you're trying to get done. How do you source? How do you work with them? We're going to discuss all of that. So guys, before I let you go, again, as our ending announcements, if you are interested in enrolling in Launch on a Budget, which is again the print on demand course, okay, then you want to go to bit.ly/LOAB course. There are payment plans that are now offered for you to pay in half. You only put half up front. It will auto charge your card in 30 days for the rest of the course, and you will get immediate access. And if you want coaching, you can go to glamprintgo.com/coaching. But more importantly, today's class, we covered again how to print on a budget. And if you want the note version of this video, I want you to go for free to www.glamprintgo.com/blog, and it will give you the written version with the links, the business names, everything that we discussed today via written format. And you can print that information out and have it for yourself, okay? And then last but not least, her question was, how do you prime an audience for long? Oh, okay, okay, that was your question. How do you prime? Okay, got it. I see what you're saying. So your question was, how do you prime? Do you show bits and pieces of what I'm working on? Yes. So we're going to be doing, and if you guys want this, let me know. I'm already going to work on it, but I would love to know if you wanted, more information. We are going to be doing a video in the spring. I'm going to be doing a marketing video collection on marketing. Like, how do I do my pre-order? Now, I've done videos where we just kind of talk about it, but I am loving the way I'm doing these. Like this video last week, I love how I have the steps, I have the written articles. Like, I feel like I'm now creating a lot of great frameworks for people to really understand step by step. So I'm going to be doing a step-by-step process pulled from LOAB. It's not going to be everything in LOAB because you need to go invest. But I am going to give you some pointers on how to position yourself to prime your audience before you ever drop a product. If you never had a customer yet, how do you get people to start following you? Right? I'm going to talk about all those different things. Plus, I'm bringing on experts. I'm bringing on experts because, you all ready for this announcement? I am launching a podcast for the YouTube channel. I'm so excited. And I'm going to show y'all the cover because I love y'all so much, and y'all just make my heart glow. And I just love y'all so much. I could talk about y'all all day. I'm just so excited. But we already have guests secured for this, and I'm bringing on experts to help you guys because I don't know everything. Lord knows, and I don't wish I did. And so instead of me talking about marketing all the time, because I only know the planner and journal space, but there are people who have more experience than me, and there are also people who thrive in product-based businesses, and they have so much insight. And so I am interviewing them, asking them questions on how they built their platforms. And so where is this podcast cover. I'm trying to show y'all the podcast. So it's going to cover marketing. It's going to cover product sales, people who've sold all different types of products. It's going to cover paid ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, how to run them, how to start one on with a small budget. I have locked in some of the best, and I'm so excited because I've been working on this forever. And I'm also including ministry because I'm a faith-based person, and some of you guys are selling planners and journals that are ministry-based, faith-based. So we're going to be talking about experts and bringing them on who have launched successful prayer journals and planners and ministry platforms. And so, I want to now bring on the experts. I think I've done a great job creating a foundation, but I really want to grow this channel as a community where people can glean from other people, learn, because I really believe that's community. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen to the podcast cover because we finally are launching this. So this is the book of Genesis. And y'all know my name is Genesis, but I thought it was kind of clever because it's called the book of, y'all, okay, you get it, right? So, but this is the podcast cover. And so we have already locked in guests. We have men and have women. If you know someone who is like a really great expert, as in they have the proven track record, clientele, they've built some kind of platform that is very successful. I'm looking for successful. I want fruit. I want to see it, right? So if you do know, definitely send me an email on their information. But yes, pun intended, the book of Genesis. And the reason why I call it the book of Genesis is because the book of Genesis is all about creation. It's all about the beginning, the start, from faith to humanity, right? And so I want to show people on how to create, how to build the great foundation. So yes, it's my name, but it's also the mentality that I want us to have when it comes to launching these platforms, okay? So guys, I definitely want to make sure that I never forget you guys again. So that's why we also are covering, like I said before, ministry. So I'm so in love with this. I want to let you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your day, or whenever you're watching this. Again, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For those of you watching the live stream, if you guys can do me a favor, when I end this broadcast, if you can reload this video and in the comments, like in the comment section, like not just the live stream, but in the comment section, because when you comment a ton on the video, it helps me to build up the algorithm so that more people can see and experience this, okay? So if you can comment when this video is over, come back to the video and comment and tell me one thing that you felt like was the one thing that you learned the most. And if you're watching the replay, do the same thing. Comment in the comment area and let me know what was one thing that you really pulled out the most from this, because I want to make sure that I'm doing my job and knowing, okay, this is what they learned, this is what they gleaned from. Okay, and last question, I gotta let you go after this. How do we learn more about being part of the podcast? Just send me an email. You can send me an email to, I'll put it in here, glamprintgo@gmail.com or hello@glamprintgo.com. Either email, we will get it. And if you send it to there, just make sure, of course, when you reach out to us, if you want to be a guest, send us your links, your information, just so we can see what you've built and what you've worked on, and let us see your expertise. If you have any video content as well that you have on your platform that lets us at least to watch and consume some of your information, that would be great, because I'm definitely looking for guests. So I would love to have you. Guys, bye. I love you guys so much. See you guys next week. Bye.